heartily where you're at. Third implication, and this kind of maybe a pet peeve of mine, and I have to watch how I talk about it because, anyway, good behavior matters. Character is important, but poor performance is not an excuse. Or good character is not an excuse for for poor performance. Just because you're a good Christian man or woman does not excuse the fact that you can't get the job done. You could say how you work, your performance at work is a character issue in some ways. Now, leaving talents and abilities aside, I'm not talking about your personal capacity and whether or not you're able to do the job, but you shouldn't, as a Christian, expect a break just because you go to church. Or if you're a business owner and you somehow think, well, we go to church together, I can charge him more because hey, we're all in the family. You shouldn't get a break just because you're a Christian or you're somehow associated with work. Poor workmanship or good character is no excuse for poor workmanship. And it's almost common, when people think about Christian movies or Christian music, that it's kind of laughable. Some people look at it like they're so cheesy, the quality is so bad. And we ought not have that reputation as Christian people. We should have the best movies, right? We should have the best kind of music. Just because you're a Christian person and you have a good character, that's no excuse for poor workmanship. Because work matters. How you work, what you do is a character issue. And then the last implication is when you work the way God's called you to work, you make yourself blessable. So if you were to come to me and say, Wes, my marriage stinks, how can I get God to bless my marriage? I'd say, if you want God to bless your marriage, then do marriage the way God says to do marriage. Take your marriage and submit it to the principles of Scripture of how marriage is supposed to be done. And if you'll do that, I'm not saying your marriage will be healed overnight, but you position yourself to be blessed by the Lord with your marriage. Same with money. You got money troubles, you want God to bless your money stuff, then start doing money the way God says to do money, and you position yourself to be blessed by the Lord in your finances. And the same is true with your work. You're in a crummy job. God, please bless me in my job. I hate this job. Will you please bless me in my work? I would say, if you want God to bless you in your work, then do what God says about work. Work heartily, as to the Lord, not unto man. And when you do that, you position yourself to be blessed by the Lord. And if you don't do that, you cannot expect God to bless you if you're living in direct contradiction to what he says you ought to do to be blessed. You can't hate your job and be lazy and slothful and kind of indifferent and expect God to bless you when he has already said in Scripture, the way for you to invite me into your work is to work heartily, to work as to the Lord and not unto man. So what would it look like for you? Monday morning, to approach your work as unto the Lord, not unto man. You may be your own boss. What does it look like for you as a boss to so design your company, to so lead your company so that everything that you do, all of your employees are freed up to work as unto the Lord, work heartily with all their heart, not unto man, with the inheritance, future rewards as the motivating power for their work.